All right. Our next performer is someone we're very, very excited to have with us tonight. She's an amazing writer. Her poems and other writing can be found in Anti, Bone Bouquet, Cold Front, Ellie Mae, Sync Review, and The Rumpus. She's the author of the chapbook Ambivalent Amphibians, out from Dancing Girl Press. She's a native of the Midwest, and she inexplicably lives in New York with her husband and daughter. You can read more at thetruthwithlies.tumblr.com. We're so excited to have her with us tonight. Please welcome to the stage Ashleigh Lambert. Give her a round of applause, guys.
Hello. So, Miracle Jones and Burlesque, that's about the hardest thing to follow up, but I will do my best. Thank you, everyone, for being here. Thanks to all of our lovely hosts and to the ever-accommodating LPR. So, I want you to clap if you're in debt. What? That's all? No. Okay, again, I want you to clap if you're in debt, please. Let's hear it. So we are all equally fucked. I'm glad that you do that. And for you people who didn't clap, you're really fucking lucky. So just take a moment and think about how lucky you are and feel really good about your life. Good for you. For everyone else, perhaps you can relate to the sort of existential, just soul-crushing terror that is being in debt. I sort of dwelled in that feeling for a long time until I decided that my debt at least owed me something. At least it owed me a poem. So here are some excerpts from a poem about debt. Which came first, the debt or the crisis? To call my debt a decision imposes a false duality. I am not this body paying off this mind's bad bet. I am situated in a context. I am in debt. I have long been bracing myself against loss. A slight inconvenience unmasks itself as calamity. Thus the necessity of keeping something in reserve. It isn't a safe place to exist in, this owing. I'm writing to make a space outside accounting, to construct a breathing room for us all to rest in. We're spent before birth. We owe death tribute for the time it lends us. Anyone who lives a proper life is constantly paying back cosmic debt which turns to tax. Who signs for death we call a state and thank in dollars for its grace. Go looking for money and you'll mostly find credit. It's part of the cult of personal honor. Credit was elided with the concept of decency. If I owe you, you trust me. What is lost when obligation shifts from the social to the merely financial? Who goes silent and what unmentioned? If I owe you, you own the rights to my future. You wouldn't save your loan servicer, but we used to be friends. There is no debt without threat of violence. The violence and the quantification are intimately linked. What you can salvage equals what you can claim. Bondage begets bondage. No, I won't take your daughter if you don't make me have to. When a return on the investment is not quantifiably different than a return to some forgotten prior commitment, a love affair, a ritual, the scene of a crime. How am I different from someone who wants lots of money? To want and not to have. To want and want. How that wrung the heart and wrung it again and again. Our thwarted capacity attaches to these objects, these means of living, whose brutal scriptures demand allegiance. With what will you dress up your essential poverty? Essential to stay interested in one's own operations, and how challenging this is when life feels like a rental. Am I just trying to arbitrate a dispute that isn't mine? To go out, to stay in, to forget the one thing that's everything? Maybe debt is a corrective to notions of destiny. I guess I am just a jerk and a burden. Our values are now this debt we're saddled with. Could it be they never taught us needs versus wants? Our values are now something we want to protect. They look quaint, a relic, like men wearing felt hats. Our values were normalized and sheltered by tax breaks. Here's the first burden I can't simply decline. When a friend labels his debt hilarious, my laugh stutters. I'm nervous for all of us. We know just what we're doing wrong. Still, it's impossible to articulate how it feels to fail so grandly. Auctioning every hour, feeling sick as I do it, sick if I don't. Shamed not by lack of money, but by insufficient imagination. Debt is the flag I fight under, fee for living. I pledge my fealty. I promise more chickens than I can possibly hatch. Debt is imitation moon rocks passed off as the real thing. Debt is when you stop trying to get out of debt. I have math anxiety, that fear of never amounting. All this uncredited and unsolicited sadness or material for assembling chances. Let's test what imagination is available to squander. Pretend to believe our experience of lacking coincides with reality. But it's not, in fact, the only reality. What fires inside you when you encounter an hour tells me so much about your material condition. What you do with promotional materials, how many hotel soaps are hoarded in your cupboard. From such thin stuff can I assemble a judgment. If you go to a party, they'll ask what you do. Of course, some people buy pleasure through debt off the scent. I see friends drinking mimosas, enjoying hours they don't by rights possess. I have to interrupt this line of thinking. You can't feel sorry for me. You don't know what I owe. You don't even know if my debt's the good or the bad kind. Maybe I blew my inheritance on coke and vacations. Maybe I started off poor and then I got cancer. My variety of owing is endless, but the effect is the same. This debt must be cared for, and the act of caring puts barriers before choices. Is it sexy to be so abject? Is it reassuring that I'm a good mother in my mistakes? What I didn't learn could empty a bank account, keep me always searching, day trips to the ocean, weekends walking the moors, pilgrimage to the library. We want to take the day off work. We want to keep working even more than we want to stop. With our 10 days off, we fix up our resumes, write CVs, even mail our friends to ask them to be references. We could use a new job. We could use some rest. We could use some rest to make plans for more rest. We could use a walk. The debt cannot take our babies for a walk. The debt cannot consume the dust. The debt does not dance to Northern Soul. The debt is larger on the inside than it is on the outside. The debt is unsuitable for habitation, which is why we're boarding up the windows and walking away. Thanks.
All right, guys, one more round of applause for Ashleigh Lambert. Woo! Awesome. it is terrifying that so many Americans have to deal with that shit. It's absolutely awful. But it was an amazing perspective to hear too. So, like to welcome.